Hey everyone, Arsenal fan circle extra. I guess we could call this an extra wheel for the liftoff, Gary. So thanks for joining us. We have dropped the StreamYard link in case anybody will want to come in and give us their say, talk about their team, talk about Arsenal. But let's start off. I'm watching Southampton Crystal Palace right now, and Gary, I think you said you're watching Villa Norwich.
Yep. Yeah. I also have a couple of Bundesliga's games on because those look kind of interesting as well. So
So I thought, like the old days, we'd give you the scores as they come in. We'll keep an eye on all the games, especially in the Premier League here, um, and give you updates as they come in. And then we'll have a little bit of Arsenal chat. But let's start off with Liverpool because Helen is a Liverpool fan, Gary, and she's saying hello. She's pretty happy with life right now, top of the league by 2 points, and they turned up against Newcastle. That's a difficult game away from home.
yeah, no. Yesterday I was on the show with on the stoop, and we are talking about the Liverpool game, and I said no matter who they bring on, they're probably going to rest Mane, Salah, and they rested Salah. So Jota though was the reason for the goal. So yeah, they as long as they have Jota coming off the bench, they're fine when they have to rest their stars. So that's exactly what happened. He kind of helped create that attempt for Naby Keita, and Keita did the rest, which was poised in front
Yeah.
of the goal,
Poise.
and
That
and
that's a,
yeah,
that's a
and
player in supreme confidence, though.
yeah,
Cater and the team in confidence, Gary.
yeah, yeah,
When you're able to sit down players on the ground and do that, have the composure in the vital moments, and you get 1-0. And as you were saying before we went live, Gary, Liverpool do know how to defend as well.
yeah, yeah. They can definitely defend, and that's why I think they're favorites for the titles that or the trophies that they've had opportunities to win because they can defend. No, not too many other teams can defend like that. They can outscore them, but they probably can't defend as well. So because they don't, I mean, I don't think anybody has a better defender than Van Dyke, right? So
Yeah.
that's a plus.
Looking at Liverpool in the last few years, Gary, we did see last year a drop off because of Van Dijk's season-ending injury for him as well. But they seem to be back on the winning ways. High up in the league, going to an FA Cup final against Chelsea, and of course they got one already. Well, they're in Europe as well, most likely going to go to the final, and they've won the Carabao Cup earlier this season. So
Yep.
that's the thing about Liverpool and City though. They are pushing each other all the way in this league title, Gary, and the City's making Liverpool better, and Liverpool's keeping City on their toes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they have, yeah, for sure, for sure. And they have international, they have a European, a Champions League to also compete with. So
Mhm.
they got to be in form no matter what. So yeah, they've got lots of things keeping their eyes, keeping them in engaged in this season as it comes to an end. So yeah,
You mentioned yesterday you were on with Lolo on the stoop, and we had Lolo on Thursday night as well. And you know, I posed the question: Is Liverpool and City the two best teams in the world right now? And I think we were all pretty much in unison in saying that. Um, of course, Gary, coming to Arsenal a little bit, it's going to need. This is what we need. We need to find tenacious players, ambitious players that are. It's going to be hard to join that group, is what I'm saying. Chelsea have tried to do that in the last couple of years, firmly established in a third place right now. But they're about how many points? 10, 15 points off of Liverpool and City right now.
yep. No, it's the one thing that I think Chelsea didn't do is they didn't make enough moves. They just, I mean, they put a lot of hope in Lukaku was going to work,
Yeah.
and I mean, you saw City. They put a lot of help in the Grealish, hoping he would help, and I think both of those deals haven't improved the teams as much as they were expected to. I mean, you're not getting enough goals from Lukaku, and Grealish isn't giving you giving you much. I don't think he's giving him. He's not as influential in the game now. It must be like. I mean, that's a good and bad about going to a team like City is that you kind of find out your level and how much you can influence a team, like
Yeah.
like he did before. He is not the number one player on the team. He's not the player they go to when they need something, right? So, not the captain. So, uh,
Yeah, there's a big difference, Gary. A big fish in a small pond, and then you go to your big fish in a bigger in an ocean. And when it comes
yeah,
to cities
yeah,
case, there's
yeah,
a
and it
lot of
doesn't.
big
Yeah,
fish.
and that it's one of those things where you don't see that same player that everybody was talking about at the end of the season when they just about stayed up, um, and still so yeah, you would expect him to go on and maybe become something good, one of the better players in England, and I don't think that's happened at all. He's just a player that wears a blue shirt right now, and I don't know that. I mean, he might be richer for it, but I don't think his footballing stature has increased or improved or anything like that by going there. Or at least the way he's playing. I don't think it's that he went to City. I think it's just that he's not. I don't think he's. I don't know. Maybe he's not playing as hard.
You think the mentality's not there, Gary, with a player like Grealish we're talking
It
about?
doesn't seem like it. Yeah, it doesn't definitely seem like it. Tomas, what is Tomas? I don't know what that is. Why am I not able to understand that?
Oh, you got a comment?
Is it look from Helen? I don't understand. What is Tomas? What is that? Hmm. Oh, hello there, Helen. I don't know. I'm trying to read
Yeah,
your question.
so
I understand.
tomorrow,
Why not
tomorrow,
sediment?
Gary.
Welcome to the
Uh,
show.
so tomorrow's is tomorrow, right? Who do you
Oh,
see is starting tomorrow?
oh yeah. Every game's a must win for Arsenal. I mean, they can't give away points until it's mathematically impossible for them to lose their position that they want, which I think should be fourth. Then it's definitely.
Why not is in
Yeah.
the house. Tomas is
Yeah.
shorthand for
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I don't know that shorthand. I guess I didn't learn it when I was 7, and I've been in the States since. So
The key thing, Gary, is to lock that in there and remember that for next time.
yeah, no, I
Do
definitely remember it now since I've gone over it. Yeah,
you
Tomas.
think it's a must game tomorrow as a final chance to get fourth and stop other London
Yeah,
clubs getting in? Absolutely. We're looking at two games coming up: West Ham and Leeds, and we have to take maximum points for against them. West Ham, they're in a tricky situation because they are 2-1 down in the Europa League semi-final tie, and we anticipate they've already got suspensions and injuries. We anticipate as Arsenal fans, they're going to put a weakened side out because that's what you kind of have to do. Their ambition will be to get to a final, a major European final, and next Thursday the return leg in Germany will be key for them. So three
yeah. There's a
points.
there's a sorry, there's a
Go
possible
ahead.
handball in the Wolves game. I don't know
Perfect.
how
Yeah.
a defender is supposed to move his hand out of the way when he's running towards the goal. I mean, he's trying to pull it back, but
Yeah, and definitely butt in whenever something when you see
yeah.
something happening.
Let's see what he
Uh,
says. Was the square up? Points. What's he pointing to? Well, looks like he's pointing to the spot. I don't understand how that's a handball. The defenders can't play if they have to. I'm not sure how he's supposed to play that. I think they say he sticks his arm out, which is really difficult because he barely moves it.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
did
it's
was
not
he
like,
use
huh?
his arm for leverage? Was he using his arm for any
Well,
kind
no,
of?
no. He was running towards the goal line, and the cross comes in, and you could see him try to bring his arm up because you see his other arm kind of go up in the air, kind of like trying to pull away, but his arm never moves, so it's right where it was before the shot, before the cross comes in. He tried.
So why not? Yeah, surprise stream. I thought we are gonna. I'm thinking maybe we'll do this as a regular, maybe on at least for this month on the Saturday.
Oh
As the
boy,
season
they missed
gets
it.
to boil.
Brighton missed the penalty kick.
Missed Bryden and missed penalty.
I think it
Okay.
hit I think it hit the cross, hit the post.
Do we have any injuries for tomorrow? I think Saka is going to be okay. Bukayo Saka. but I
Yeah, they
don't.
said he's good, or there's been many reports
The
saying
other
he was good.
the
So
other long term injury, of course, is Tierney, as we know, and Partey, but I don't think there's any fresh injury concerns.
yeah,
Mm.
I find it weird that they put that video out of him practicing on the treadmill, and then the next thing they're like, oh, they don't have any plans for him to return this season, which is weird. Why would you put that put that video out if there's
Yeah,
there's
well,
no they've got no plans for him coming back this season. It's just weird.
there's quite a few things at Arsenal that will make us scratch our head. Stephen's here. Greetings, gentlemen. Thanks for joining
Hello.
us, Stephen. And Power Puncher Brothers, he's been here a couple of times now, telling us Burnley will challenge for top four very, very soon. We'll keep watching that.
Top four of the championship, is that what he means? Because that's kind of where they're going, right?
Unless Everton will take their place in the bottom three. But latest scores right now, I'm watching Southampton against Palace. Crystal Palace are pushing, but they're a goal down. Oreo Romeo scoring a goal in the 9th minute, and the one you're watching is Villa
I've
Norwich
got like two games up. I'm putting a third one up just because I can.
because you can. Right, Watford are leading 1-0 against.
Yeah, I'm not watching that game. I can watch that game if you want me to.
No, no.
I got Southampton up. I've got Wolves up, and I got Aston Villa. So
I thought we'd just have a general chat today. So, listen, Liverpool got 3 points. Um, Looking at that Newcastle game, the reason why we want to get maximum points against West Ham and Leeds next weekend is we'll have a North London derby, and it's going to be a whole entity of itself. But after that, we've got Newcastle, and that Newcastle game could be one of the trickier games this season in the run in for us, Gary.
yes, yes. I mean, I kind of feel like this is as they say, banana peel as well for us because we should expect to win this because everything's set up for us to. But it doesn't mean that's going to happen. And then Leeds, like you said, should be 3 points. But we went through this scenario before, right? 3 games where we thought we could get points, and it didn't happen.
Burnley are unlikely to be losing, but trust me, Burnley might go to Europa League next season, and soon will be challenged for the title in 3 years. Yeah, that's the kind of track that we Arsenal fans want to be on. Challenge for the title, maybe a little bit sooner than 3 years. Will City beat Leeds, Gary?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so.
They'll put their B team out and still win. So yeah,
Yeah, Jesse. While Jesse Marsh has gotten some improvement out of Leeds,
yeah,
and Mr.
yeah,
Tom will know. Um, the Leeds have moved a little bit clearer of the drop zone,
yeah.
but the City are just going to keep possession.
Yeah,
I've been saying recently Liverpool have many scorpion stings that they can bring into their team. That forward line they can switch out, and
yeah.
that's how they can win games. We got a good goal from Naby Keita today, but I think City are more like the boa constrictor. They just lull you into a false sense of security, keep the
Mhm.
ball, and eventually make the breakthrough.
Yeah.
BX Gunner, hey, you guys trying to sneak a show in without me? Yeah, we thought we'd throw one up real quick here. Um, Gary was kind enough to join me. I threw a few lines out there. Alonso's working. Mahir is away. Um, and Tony, I don't know what Tony's doing, but there's a few links out there. A few people might join us, and there's some links in the StreamYard right at the beginning of the comment section. So if Dave wants to join us, I know Dave doesn't mind getting on streams once in a while. Dave, jump on if you want. We're talking about Premier League. We're talking about Arsenal. We're talking about the games here. Um, Steve Denham has joined us, so we're actually also testing
Hey,
the power of YouTube, Gary. You set the thing up, the notifications
yep.
should go out, and once you go live, if you build it, they will come, right?
Yes, that is right. That
And
is
listen,
right.
Gary has a show on Mondays as well, so if you're watching, and you like what Gary's saying, well, even if you don't like what Gary's saying, go to his show and challenge his takes on things because that's what
Yeah,
football's all about. You know,
yeah.
you know
Some guy from Arsenal fan circle was doing that this past Monday. So everybody comes in and tries to get put some comments in and tries to squash my thoughts.
yeah.
So
And sometimes you will extol what you want, and what maybe that's a little bit different to what is what I
see,
think
we're gonna go
realistic.
through this now, right? What I
No,
want as opposed to I tell you what I see.
you tell me what you see, you tell me what you want. You know, but
And you don't.
yeah, I know. But Gary puts a good show together on Monday night, so go check
Yeah,
that out as well. Go over to DWTT, give him a
yeah.
subscribe. You
Thanks.
know, we're doing this because we love it, not because we want a lot of subscribers, but it's also good to build the community, right, Gary?
Definitely like talking to people about football, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when we're on this side of the world. So it's always good. It's always
All
good.
right.
All right.
So that's Liverpool and City. Chelsea have tried in previous years to join that party, but it's a very very committed set of group of players that you're going to need. Look at City and Liverpool; they've lost 5 games between them all season long, and that's the kind of standard that we need to aspire to, Gary.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. I mean, Chelsea's showing you, but all the money in the world doesn't get you to that level, right?
Uh,
Nobody right now is going. Chelsea is in a a top team in the world, right? I mean, they don't. Do they have a world class player, one of the best players in their position on their team? I mean, when you look at them, do you go, all right, that's the best player in that position in the world? You don't. Liverpool and City can do that with at least one of their players, if not two, depending on where you look. Right, Salah's up there with one of the top strikers. Right, you got
mhm.
Allison up there with one of the best goalkeepers. You've got Van Dijk, one of the best defenders. I mean, De Bruyne, one of the best. Creative mids. Right, look at that. It looks like Ollie Watkins just scored.
Mhm.
Really,
For
really nice
Arsenal.
goal. He went 1-on-1 with the defender, put him to the ground, and then got it past the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper's hand went up just a little bit too slow. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna try as best I can to update. The scores has come in. Watford leading 1-0. Tarkowski own goal. Southampton leading through Romeo early on. Those both those goals pretty in the first 10 minutes, and Aston Villa have just scored. Of course,
There's a
a little
penalty
bit
going on
spicy.
over here again. Another penalty in the Wolves Brighton game. So, oh, this is their second time. So Brighton now has missed three in a row. This is their fourth penalty now, or they've missed three. I don't know if this is in a row, but here they go again. This is their second attempt in this game to take the lead. And come on, let's do this. And the kick gets past the goalkeeper, so now they take the lead.
That's
Feels like
Wolves take the lead,
yeah,
right?
that's Brighton just took the lead over Wolves. It was their second PK of the game.
Oh,
So
Brighton. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the goalkeeper guessed right, but just you put the ball in the air with some conviction, it doesn't get touched. So I think we got scores in every game right now, right?
Yep. 4 games, 1-0 in each of them, and away from home, Brighton are leading at Wolves.
Yeah.
Wolves are a very strange team, going very, very strong until February, and some will say, jokingly maybe, Arsenal broke them, but they seem to have dropped off since we played them twice in quick succession. Of course, a game that will be remembered for a double yellow within seconds and a red card.
Hmm.
It only happens to Arsenal. I can't believe it. So Stephen's working tomorrow, but we'll watch the show when done.
Cool.
Thank you, Gary. Brighton getting pens all afternoon. Possible pen in Wolves game. Uh, Wolves stuttering is the large management. Is the large management the right choice? interesting question.
You kind of wonder what changed. Like you said, was it playing Arsenal and losing those two matches set them off in a spiral, downward? Because he did. I mean, Wolves looked like they had a good plan going, and but I just think it's just the nature of the Premier League. Um, you need
Yeah.
to. It's not necessarily consistency, but you just need to be able to manage for different scenarios. And
Or
it's a tricky league to be competitive in for a long time. Everybody has their blips. Some blips get you draws. In the case of the teams lower in the table, they get you losses. So it's all relative. So,
do you think it's a case of Chelsea? They're not going to get second place, so the players mentally check out a little bit. The big games for them recently were the European tie against Real Madrid and the FA Cup against Liverpool,
uh,
or the FA Cup against Crystal Palace, which they won.
I I don't believe in I don't believe in the thought that you can just turn it off and turn it on. You know,
Yeah.
and you turn it off, then that's when you get beat, right? Because
Mhm.
um,
In the
I
Premier
think
League.
I think it's hard to turn it off and on. So I can't. If they're doing that because they have a finals coming up, you saw what happened in the Champions League, right? They didn't get as far as people thought they would, especially after the way they had started. So yeah, no, it hurts you in the long term. You got to be able to play the same way all the time. That's why the top teams in the world are like that. They play for 90 minutes, right? They play for 38 the whole season, right? And there's players behind them that want to play too. So if you're a player sitting behind and you get an opportunity and you don't show up because oh well the season's over, then that's on you. That's when you have problems. So
It's very easy to look at the league and say that may be the case for Chelsea, that they're coasting a little bit, and look at
yeah,
Wolverhampton Wanderers in a similar position, eighth place, and there was a big gap. There was a big gap down to ninth and above them in seventh. So but things have come a little bit tighter now.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I dropped the link. If anyone wants to join us, talk about Arsenal, go for it. Use that StreamYard link. Um, Video, audio would be great as well. But otherwise, throw a few questions at us. We're just really relaxing. It's a Saturday morning here. It's actually sunny for me, so it's probably sunny for you, Gary. We're about 2 hours apart here,
Yeah.
and it's a nice day out there. So
Yeah, so I mean it's sunny over here, but it's not like warm. I mean,
yeah,
I
cold.
cut the yard. I did a little bit of
Freeze.
yard work already.
Yeah,
Um,
we did have a little bit of freeze here overnight, but
mm,
probably one of the last nights that's going to happen for quite a few months. Um, Later today, so Liverpool have won. They got 3 points to do ahead, 2 points ahead against City, and we've kind of touched on Leeds, and we touched on City really, but Leeds. Do you see Leeds um, climbing? They'll get enough points to be okay toward the bottom. Thinking about Mr. Tom here.
yeah, no, I think they have enough to do it. I think it's not like you said. It's going to be a long season for them. So, well, they got 5 more matches left. So, they are what 5 points ahead,
Yeah,
and Everton has one. Yeah, 5 points ahead. Everton only has a game in hand. So, yeah, I think they're set up pretty well.
they
Burnley
got
might
the
be the team
next
that's got to
three.
watch out because Burnley has 2 games on Everton, and Everton even gets 2 draws. I think oh no, they don't even on goal difference. They don't even get there. They have to win. So if Everton doesn't win,
The
it doesn't matter.
the next three games for Leeds is going. They're going to be difficult. Obviously, City today.
Yeah,
And of course, they play Arsenal at the Emirates, so we'll be looking for 3 points there. They play Chelsea 3 days later, a midweek game. And then the last two, they'll be looking to get some points if they need them against Brighton and Brentford. It's probably not a bad situation to, if you have 5 games, Gary, you play three of the tough ones coming up, knowing you've got slightly on paper at least easier games in Brentford.
I don't like that. As you know, you play a big team, you don't recover from it you don't recover from it the way you think. Mentally, you can play with it, but physically, you're beat up, right? Just to keep things close and tight,
Mhm.
you exert more mental and physical energy than you think. And the next game, you come out a little flat. We see it all the time, right? So,
I'd
yeah,
still like to. I wouldn't like those three big games to be the last three in your season. I'd still like to have those two right at the end of the season.
but what's the difference?
The
If
difference
you would you
is
rather have the 6 points and then worry about like maybe we can steal a point out of the next three, or would you like, all right, we're gonna probably get beat up in the next three, and then somehow we still need to try to get points in
if
the last two
if
games?
I'm a Leeds fan, I'm happier that the last two games are the easier two of the five. That's just me. Do your best against Arsenal. Do your best against City today, and do your
Yeah,
best against Chelsea. Hopefully, in City and maybe in Chelsea's case, they pick up some points
yeah,
against them. We don't want to give them 3 points next weekend at the Emirates,
yeah.
and then yeah, good luck to them against Brighton
Well,
and
think of it this way: if they were to win those two games, right, that would mean that Everton would have to get
Mhm.
12 points out of the last
Yeah,
6 games,
yeah, which is nigh on impossible for Everton. Uh,
right? That's the only way they're gonna jump leads, and that
yeah.
so
Steven's still waiting for the last of the snow to melt in Alberta's capital, so a little bit cooler out there in Canada, right? Uh, what players are we looking at for next season? I mean, does everybody knows the positions? Arsenal fan knows the positions. It's strikers and midfielders, maybe a right back. Got any other wants or needs?
I mean, I always say we need 10 players until
Mm,
we don't, and right now we still need 10 players. So, like I said, that could be academy players, that could be some loanies coming back, but the team has to be set up for that. And hope we saw what two of our players on loan actually playing against each other, right? Nelson and Saliba. So, and Nelson actually created an assist,
yeah,
right? Saliba is one
that
of the
was a
better
mad game.
defenders. Yeah,
That was a
yeah,
mad game.
yes.
Marseille losing 3-2 against Feyenoord.
Yeah. So I mean, I think in those cases, the fact that the loanies are playing in late games in the season in those cup games, right? It's got to be a good plus because they're getting experience. Maybe they're find a team that we can actually sell them to. I mean, as I sent in the DMs, you know, Mavropanos might be getting sold, and it's only going to cost Stuttgart like 3 million to make that happen and get some compensation for it, and that's you know Arsenal's transfer business just
I
in a
I
in a
hope
nutshell.
I hope that reporting is somewhat flawed. That we can, if we are still performing like that, Gary, some people need to move on with their careers and not be at Arsenal and
Yeah,
let them go to another club and let us.
yeah,
We need to get that in order if that's the case. We need to start
yeah,
selling and buying properly. At least
yeah,
getting the point would be massive. Wow, Mino Raiola has died. I mean, there was some reports about that earlier this week, some misreporting, and I know he was in a critical condition as
yeah,
well. Wow, thoughts and prayers to his family. I mean, it's such a horrible thing for anybody, any family to have to deal with.
yeah,
Two strikers, a winger, two midfielders, centre back, right back, and left back.
yeah. Based on what we've seen so far, all of that is correct, right? He has no confidence in his
Eight
left
players.
back, right? And his left back cover isn't
Uh,
actually a left back, right?
Tavares.
He's more of a wing back. He's not going to defend. He's consistently. How different is this than what's it, Runison? His defense. Just look at his. Just think about his
Uh,
defense, and then think about
Potential.
Runison's. There.
Potential is better. Potential is greater.
No, we've seen the same thing over and over again. He makes the same mistakes.
He's very young.
He's never in the right position defensively.
All right, so we're talking about Nuno Tavares, so everyone
Correct. His
knows who we're
defense is
talking about.
terrible.
Yeah,
It's
that can get
terrible.
better. That can be
It
coached.
can get better, but what do you work on that in middle of games and potentially lose points, or does he need to go and actually work on his
I think
defense?
I
Right?
think as much as we don't trust, maybe many people don't trust the process of the club. I think we have to trust the process of the club. And if you go out and get a left back, you have to play a left back to cover for Kieran Tierney. That's my
If
take.
I agree with you, but that's not what they did. So obviously there was some reason for
Yes,
that. So
yes.
that if the
I'm,
process
I
is
am
the
not
process,
happy.
then the process has shown us they don't want to play him
That
there.
yeah, yeah. That is something that I hope that Nicola Tata had learned from last season. He went back to that well, Gary. He went back to that well against Brighton, right? Putting Granit Xhaka left back, having no faith in Nuno Tavares.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe against his instincts, he put Tavares in against Chelsea and
Yeah, but
United.
and that's why that's the different. That's what the issue is that he doesn't have a full grasp of what he needs for an entire squad. We knew we needed cover on the right and back, on the left back and the right back. I believe Cedric to some degree gives us that, but we cannot depend on him to do that over and over again. Like he's not for me a starter in the Premier League. He can come in and cover for him for a number of games, but if we
If
were to lose Tierney for the whole season, I think we'd be in trouble,
If
right?
If
Or
Tierney's injured,
Tomiyasu.
that's the bigger issue. Then if Tierney's injured, right? We have a
Yeah, but
first choice left
we
back.
need somebody who can cover his spot and take and become a start and can be a starter in the Premier League is what we need. We don't need somebody who can just back him up when he comes out early in the game or when he's got a short term injury. That's what we. If we're going to stick with Tierney, we definitely it's going to been consistent. He's going to drop games for us, so we need somebody who's just as that the coach is just confident in, and we don't have that right now.
Right now, we don't have that, and moving into next season, maybe Tavares' development
I don't
looks
think
better.
any. I don't think you're going to see him go from where he is today to the start of the season and be all ready to go. Like it's. I don't think you're
I
going to see
think I think we're if we're gonna stay. I think we're gonna stay with these two left backs, Kieran
I'm not saying.
Tierney and
Yeah,
Nuno Tavares, and I think there's going to be a big mix due to Tierney's inability to be able to play more games.
yeah,
So
and I mean you can see it in the chats. I don't think anybody thinks of him as a left back. He's shown that he's really good going forward, but he's not hasn't really shown that he can shoot and score
defensively.
either. So what is he? And I think that's why it's one of those cases where maybe he needs a loan. And that's the problem with bringing in young players from outside of the country, right? The Premier League is not the same. And if they're young and they're not like dominating, like we need to bring in players that are dominating in the leagues they're coming from because it's going to be a step down in their performances when they come to the Premier League. It's just
But
it is. We've seen this too many
have,
times now.
but have we seen our policy change to getting hungry players? You wouldn't say Ramsdale was dominating in his league before he came to Arsenal.
I think if you watched a lot of his shots, you saw that he make the stops that he's making. He was making them before. It's just that he had no defense in front of
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
So I think it's a little bit different
Uh,
for the goalkeeper than
okay.
for those other positions because he's going 1-on-1 consistently. You know,
I
with
think
the teams that he played on.
and it's going to be tough because we want to analyze our targets. We're going to want to analyze through the summer who we're potentially going to be getting. We're going to want to talk about the players who we have bought and who are coming in. But I think if last summer has taught us anything, we can analyze till the cows come home. But those players probably will show us something different. As Arsenal fans, maybe we judge too quickly. You think that's fair?
No, no, no. Because we're going to judge game to game, or else what's the point? What are we going
Yeah,
to do?
but
Just not talk about anything every day because
no, of course,
because
but
we're not analysts, we're fans
no.
who like to talk about the team. So yes, I hear what you're saying, but that's not my job. So
Yeah,
I'm going to talk about what I
I
see
like
all
that.
the time. It will
Yeah.
change.
Disclaimer: we are fans. We will give our viewpoints as fans, and the pundits who get paid the big money to talk about players, they probably their successes and their how many times they hit, and many times they don't hit, would be equal to a fan's success rate as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Uh,
I'm looking at what everybody's asking for. We definitely need two strikers, and we need two strikers. One a legitimate starter, and two one a potential starter in the sense that we're getting rid of all of our strikers most likely. I don't see a reason why Eddie would want to stay. So
hmm,
he needs to go somewhere
Suarez
he's
needs
going
a
to be
loan.
close to the number one striker, if not the number one striker, so he can get the time that he needs on the
I,
field.
I I think these situations with loans now, I think some of our loans have to come back, especially with European football coming back to us. We're going to have a certain amount of games, whether it be Europa League or hopefully Champions League. And I think the time for sending players out on loan, such as Tavares, I think he's going to get the minutes at Arsenal next season. He's getting them now, and whether I think he's going to have to learn through the game as well. Steven said we need two strikers, central defensive midfielder, central midfielder, centre back, a left back, a backup right back, and left back.
Yeah,
Uh,
the only way you're going to get at a left back is if you sell Tierney, right? Because you're not
who
going
would
to
you
want
get
to
to
put
replace
him on
him?
the back. I mean, it doesn't make any sense if he's healthy, right? He's a good left back. I really don't. I really haven't actually looked at a left back to know what the names are of any of them. Do you know any of the names of left backs? That I mean, like I said, I think we need somebody who's more experienced. So for me, it would be somebody that coming from a Premier League team or coming up in from the Championship. At
Mm-hmm.
least it's a little bit tougher there. Um,
Steven fancies Chelsea. Leeds to get something on Chelsea. I just think Chelsea have probably they probably dropped as many points as they're going to. I think those players at a club like Chelsea, they have to keep winning games, and I think eventually dropping points at Old Trafford when they should have won the game. I think they'll win today against Everton. And the big thing for me is, Gary, if we're going to get third place, we have to win almost every game because there's a 6 point gap between us and Chelsea. I don't see Chelsea dropping more than 6 points in the next 5 games.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, we keep saying they're cup finals, but we need to play like their cup finals and put everything out there. So
Mm.
yeah.
Have you seen switching tracks a little bit? The people talking about some kind of an Arsenal anthem. There's a song going around.
I
Uh,
did. I saw those things. I didn't even listen to it or anything. So I don't know what it sounds like. I don't know even know what the lyrics are or anything. So
it sounds pretty good. I'm not going to give you the lyrics. I'll let you research it later. But as a tool for creating an atmosphere within the stadium and getting that fervor built up, so we
what's wrong? Is
turned.
there something wrong with what you think's going on today? Like that we need to change?
Yeah, I think you look at Liverpool for an example. They play some music before the crowd gets into it. There's an atmosphere as the team's coming out. Also, feel at the Emirates is a little bit more like a library. Highbury used to be called the library, right? So we need to maybe amp that up a little bit because a lot of the times Arsenal do not start on the front foot, particularly at home, right?
You're saying that's because they're not getting sung to when they come out of the tunnel. Is that what we're trying to say?
I listen.
You just said you wanted
Everybody
hungry players, and now you're saying, well, if we're singing to them, maybe they'll play better. So which one is
Everybody
it?
needs a little like hairs standing up on the back of the neck.
Yeah,
The players need that. I always think, even through George Graham's time, he said, if you get if you get the crowd going, the crowd will get the players going. I think it's a symbiotic thing that the
yeah,
players feed off the atmosphere within the stadium, and the fans will feed off of the players if they're creating chances and
true.
scoring goals.
Well, I've yet to see the team come out like so energized that the crowd has no choice but to follow suit, right?
Yeah,
If we came out, you know, all
out of the blocks.
out of the blocks really fast,
Yeah,
I think that's another thing. So it is a two-way street. Everybody has to contribute. Um, but the team, I mean, as many times as we've seen them come out, they just kind of it feels like they're feeling their way around. Feeling that trying to get a hold of the game, and by the time they do, the other team has gotten a hold of the game as well. So I kind of feel like, nah, yeah. I mean, I don't know about this anthem thing. I don't know. It just sounds like somebody singing to get somebody to do some work that they're supposed to do and supposed to love. Yeah.
I think
No, I didn't. I never. I did. I don't think we forgot. He just wasn't playing, and I mean, the last thing we heard was he just wasn't healthy enough to compete for a position on the field, right?
Mhm.
Which is saying a lot either for him and for Arsenal in terms of the way that they work. But as I said when that happened, I said, you know what? It's probably more because the Premier League is just too tough for them to practice as hard as these other teams do, right? I mean, if you practice that hard, I think we've heard the saying sometimes is that they practice so hard that they can't go in the games, right? So I kind of feel like that might be the Premier League, and that's why you look at like think about it like a Chelsea, but a Liverpool and a City. Do they probably practice as hard as some of the other teams? Probably not, because one, they're involved in all of those cups, but
Mm.
also the recovery that they need is means that they can't practice as hard as we see them in games. So
Uh,
that's why I think it's tough in the Premier League, because if you practice hard and then try to play hard, I think it beats you up.
so the ex-gunner said Anfield is a fortress. I think all of it plays into it. You get the fans, you get the supporters G'd up. You play music to them. You play music to the players and the fans. The atmosphere builds, and it's an intimidating because the team is so good as well. Liverpool is. It is an intimidating atmosphere to come into then as a visiting team. Nelson needs to be sold, says Udbav Singh. So thanks for joining us, Udbav. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thoughts on Saliba, stay or leave? Definitely stay for me. There's two things, right? What does the player want to do, and what do the fans want the player to do?
I don't think fans have any say in any of this. I don't even know
Well,
why. I don't even
what's
know
your
why you
wish?
even brought that up. We have no say in
What's
whether a
your
player
wish,
should stay
Gary?
or go.
What
I
is
mean,
your wish?
I think if Arsenal is got ambition and you have a quality center back, he can't be going. It has to be one of those tough decisions, right? When I say that, I mean he should be. It should be. We're not just going to give him up for nothing, and the other team's going to have to really want him if they really want him,
Yeah,
which means they're going to have to put up or shut up, right? Put the money on the table if they want a player like that. And Arsenal needs a player like that. They need to have. It would be nice to have three quality center backs that you can play on the squad. And everybody talks about they're going to have to. How's he going to play? Well, we see that we need rotation as it is now.
hmm
So we're talking about going to Europe. So
hmm
we're going to need players, and we need players that can actually start. Right? We're playing in the Champions League, for example. It'd be nice to say, all right, well, I can rest Gabriel and I can bring in Saliba. Right?
yeah,
He's, you
yeah.
know, that's what you want to be
You
able to
know,
do. So
like even Rob Holding could get full games in certain Premier League or Cup games next season.
yeah, and I think
Hardwood.
I mean, I've always complained that he's always in the wrong position at in the wrong position at the wrong time. All right, but and I, I haven't seen that from him this season as much as I did the previous
Like
seasons, and
like
that's
Cedric seems to be whenever goals are scored, Cedric seems to be the first player there for the photographs. You know, you watch when
I
next
haven't.
one
Yeah, I
score a
haven't been
goal,
watching because I for me,
you're celebrating.
no, we're not celebrating for us getting scored
Scoring a
on.
goal.
No,
When we score a goal, you're celebrating. But watch
no.
Cedric. He's
Uh,
there with the goal scorer,
well, I know
almost
that
saying,
Tavares has been there for a lot of the goals this
yeah,
season. Lately, actually, I should say that lately, not this season. But
yeah. So definitely
yeah,
Saliba stay. We don't want him to go to Marseille.
it should there should be a good
Well,
reason why he's not here, and it should be that we have enough funds from the sale. Like they're not getting discounts. Nobody's getting discounts, and not for a starter, not for a French international, not for one of the better players defensively in the league he's playing in. Nah,
yeah.
it can't be.
We need to get tougher in these situations, and if you can write, if you, I hate to write off what we did the last 5 6 years, but we were terrible. We have been terrible. We spent money,
Mm.
not all of it terrible money. but we haven't recouped near enough what we spent, and
Yeah.
that's got to
Mm,
change.
yeah.
We got to be more. We got to be tougher negotiators, incoming and outgoing. So yeah, Saliba, stay, come to England and help Arsenal. There's going to be games next season. The thing that was most significant than me, says BX Gunner, with what Klopp did to bring Liverpool back was that he maddened the player he made the players earn the right to slap the sign. He made the players earn the right to slap the sign on the walkout. So there's that Anfield sign, and I think there's a talk about it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there
there-
should be. I always say you should be practicing the way you play. I say that all the time, and Tierney to some degree does that. I mean, he comes out to practice the way he's going to play. He doesn't come out in tights, in hoodies, and all this stuff because that's not the way he plays. Maybe that's the reason why he gets injured. But that he that I like that. I like that mindset that I'm always practicing the way I play. So there's no
yeah,
like turn like games should be easier than practice, right?
yeah.
I think Arsenal's games are so much
If you practice
a
well,
surprise. So much
all,
as a
all,
surprise.
all of the players, all of our past players, all present players will say, if you have a good practice, you're going to play well that weekend, that given week of the match. Helen's asking, I'm changing my tact here. I'm going to change something here for you, Gary. If Arsenal don't get forward, will it be a success or failure for Arteta? Okay,
It's a
my mind.
failure, but it's a
You
failure,
go.
but it's
You want to
yeah,
go first?
yeah, it's a failure, but it's not something that gets him fired. Let's just say that. So it's a failure. Like he should be. Once again, he should be disappointed if he doesn't get fourth because it was in his team's grasp to actually get fourth, right? The same way that we look at a striker with a sitter, they should expect to score, right? We're in fourth. We have 5 matches
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
We should expect fourth. So you got to play like that. If you
Yeah.
don't, then it's you failed.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree
you
with
know,
you.
yeah, yeah. So
I agree with you. So I started off saying top six. Started the season, top six was the goal, as BX Gunner is saying, and he agrees with me. Top six was the goal to get back into Europe. Top four was a bonus. I'm going to change it now. Recently, I've closed that band up. Gary, fourth or fifth, recently. But here we are. Tomorrow is May, and the season ends in the month of May. We're in the top four right now. We're 2 points ahead of Tottenham. Um, we've beaten out Manchester United. I don't believe they're going to catch us. We've beaten out West Ham, and we'll definitely will. Hopefully, put a nail in their coffin. So, yes, it is a failure if we don't get fourth place. Because look around us, we're going to play a West Ham team that need to rest their players, have their mind focused on Europe. That's an advantage. As Tony's been saying, got to give props to Tony. See Tony every once in a while. I will give you props. I will. I will. If some people have like you Gary, you have good arguments. I'll give you your dues when they're ready and when they come. And you were right with Tierney. Tierney was number one when I was talking about Tavares earlier in the season, but fourth place now it will be a failure if we don't get it. We're 2 points ahead of Tottenham. We have a game against West Ham. We really should be focused on winning. We should get the points tomorrow. And a Leeds team that will put up some resistance, but we're going to be playing at home. Our record at home is pretty good.
yeah,
Looking ahead to the end of the season, we've got an Everton team that's probably going to be relegated and on the final game of the season. That's at least 3 wins for me. And come what may, I want to play well against Tottenham in the Northern Derby. That would be the icing on the cake to beat them in their backyard and cement top four. So, yeah, in a season now where Arteta's had a full squad with weeks, literally weeks to prepare between game, a week each time to prepare between games, it's there for us and it has to be taken. Is his job safe? I believe Arteta's job is safe, at least until I think the middle of next season. I mean, we're going to have a World Cup coming at the end of the year, Gary. So we're going to have 2 or 3 months of Premier League and Champions League football before we stop for the World Cup. So I don't think Arteta is going to be in such a bind, at least till before the World Cup. And maybe we're talking about Arteta this time next year. How
Yeah, I
long do you
mean,
think his
like you said,
squad is?
yeah. So, like you say, I mean, it would have to be a total collapse, and we would
Mm,
have to finish seventh for him to be in danger of losing his job. I don't see that. I think that I don't see that at all. So,
yeah.
worst case, he'll finish sixth, which should still be would be a disappointment. But yeah,
Um,
I saw comments about Arsenal shouldn't have bought Ben White. I think it was a large amount of resources spent on a player.
isn't
And
that the
I
going
don't think,
rate for a good defender though? Isn't that the going rate?
yeah, but I mean, I would have rather spent the extra money and got Brighton's best defender. You know what I mean? Because then you wouldn't even have any questions about whether or not he's a good defender or not. Because there's
Oh,
questions about where
who
he
is that?
stands.
Lewis Dunk for you, or
Yeah,
who's okay?
yeah.
There's a debate whether which one is the better.
Because if you're thinking,
Yeah.
well, I think Dunk is better, but from what I've seen, but yeah, I kind of feel like you know, it's like, yeah, I just, yeah,
Look at that.
he's not
Brighton
any,
said we'd get top four without a striker. I wouldn't have believed it.
yeah,
We're ahead, we've been one arm behind our back the season with our midfielders or midfielder or whatever. We have a couple of good midfielders, and especially the striking situation. We've gone from Balogun, Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Kedia. We've used all four of our strikers this season.
yeah. Well, Balogun was just that wasn't. I mean, I don't think they prepared. They didn't have him prepared to play at
True,
all
true.
this year. And so he should have been on loan from day one. It shouldn't have been the case. I mean, I kind of feel like they waste some of these players' time. Balogun was never going to play with the three strikers that they had ahead of him.
Mm.
Not the way that, and not the way that Nketiah was being used. It was just he had more confidence in him there. So give their
All
players the
four
time to build up.
All four games are 1-0, 1-0.
Yeah,
Still, nothing's happened into the second half. We're about close to 15 minutes in the second half. Steven said if we don't get fourth, I view it as a collapse, but not fireable unless we're not in the Europa League. I think everybody can see it, right? 2 points ahead of Tottenham in going into May. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the psychology of tomorrow in a moment as well. Playing after Tottenham. In some ways, you have to use the psychology of it, Gary. You like to play first and get the 3 points, but we're not going to be able to do that tomorrow. Tottenham will play before us. It's on them. The pressure will be on them to do their business. But then we'll know what we need to do. Is that good or bad? Playing directly after Tottenham.
I don't think it's mattered
We
this
still know
season.
what we need to do,
It
right?
doesn't matter how we played this season, right? I mean, as a team, once the pressure's on, it's on, right? So
BX said,
we
if we
shouldn't
got
even
Europe,
be. The team should not even. They're not thinking about what just happened an hour ago when they get ready to play. Like, if you are, then that's where the problem is,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
they
mean,
should
they
be
shouldn't even know the
completely
score
focused.
until maybe they stand out and
Yeah.
maybe if they put a score up in the stadium. But they've got a big game ahead of them, and that's got to be the most important thing going on in their
Most,
heads.
I think the most important thing is to get 3 points, and then you. We've not been in a situation where we've had to worry about our opposition. We've watched the games with interest, and we've enjoyed the slip ups from United and Tottenham. Look back at all of that, Gary. It's been pretty good through the season, watching Tottenham and United in particular
Yeah,
falter,
no,
and we have to take advantage of that. And I think we are doing that. If we get Europe with a massively depleted squad, that is divine, BX Gunner. And then many have said, Gary, we get that striker, we get a midfielder. How much better will we be? Should we be next season? Or we're trying to like add those points to what we have already.
yeah,
Palace, Brighton, and Southampton were supposed to be wins, but they weren't. Not even close to wins.
hmm.
That is unexplainable, inexplainable.
No,
Uh,
definitely, definitely,
if they choose to sack Arteta, who on earth will they get instead?
yeah.
That's a
Well,
good question. Sustainable. You have to find that personality, Gary. Liverpool got Klopp, and it's worked for them. Pep came in. Conte went to Tottenham, and he's maybe there's rumors that he's looking for outs, PSG job. You know,
Mm.
do you think Conte's happy there?
It's that team, man. Who's happy? Who's ever happy there?
KC won't fire him even if we finish say at 10th. I think Stephen, those levels, those bands that were all. I've narrowed my band from fourth to sixth, and now it's got to be fourth place. I think the ownership has to start tightening up in terms of what the target should be, Gary, and
Yeah,
holding some accountability to the manager. You know,
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that
'cause we
that
will.
I mean that has to be a way of building a club is to have some goals that they need to achieve to keep.
What
We
does
do
he
the same
say?
thing
Be
for
better.
players, right? I
Be
mean,
better every week, right? Every game, be better. Just every season, be better, right?
yeah, there have to be some improvements from from game to game, week to week, season to season. So
Helen's
yeah,
told me it's 1-1 at Southampton, so
yeah, they just scored it. The
I'm
ball went
just
through
gonna look
the
at
goalkeeper was let the ball go right between. I think go between his
Crystal Palace.
legs. So yeah, and I was
I'm
looking
just
at
seeing it now.
Koulibaly. I guess it's he's like 30 years old, right? So
Yeah,
would he be a starter for Arsenal if he comes, or is he just going to be a solid backup?
I
You
don't
know.
think Koulibaly's the way to go either. We've proved that okay, maybe we don't want to get 20-year-olds, but we want to aim for maybe 24
No,
year
but
olds.
we need players 28 and up. We need players 28 and up. We need players 28 and up that can actually play football. We do. We do. You can't ask for leadership on the squad and then go, "All right, we'll just buy it with a 24-year-old." We've seen it
Okay,
doesn't work.
okay,
We
I'll buy
need
that.
we need solid players 28 and up. We not a lot, not they're not taking over
Mhm.
the squad, but we need players that are that in that age bracket to get the team where it needs to be. Right?
BX,
All the
BX.
big teams, if you look at all the big teams, they have players 28 and up that are supporting this team in many ways, right? All of them. And we don't say anything negative about that. But Arsenal has none that can actually come in and actually perform a job for us. And then we go, well, we can't bring in older players, but we need older players, right? We need it. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. No,
Okay.
I mean
Well,
my thing is we need that we need consistent leadership on the squad. I mean, like Partey when he's healthy gives us that. All right, when he's healthy, he's like leading just by his play.
we've
But
seen it from El
yeah,
Neni recently, right, Gary?
we've seen
As well.
Alani play well. I don't know about leadership on the team. I don't know what you've seen from him when he's played in the
Well,
last two games where you go, all right, that's the leadership that I'm talking about.
Vieira was that player. I mean, I'm not comparing. Listen, now, don't get excited.
You see, but
Not
that's
comparing Vieira to
you
El
are.
Neni
You just brought him up as
in
we're
the
talking
sense.
about El Neni and Vieira. That's just no. That's like
Don't get
saying
excited.
Nketiah and
Relax.
Henri are strikers, right? So when I see Nketiah do this and that, it reminds me of Henri. Come on,
So
please.
Patrick Vieira was the player who led by example. He wasn't shouting on the field. He wasn't
Yeah.
telling people what to do, but he was leading by example. And I think El Neni shows the young players, especially, the importance of training as well. I could see that in the dressing room, showing young players the examples, the good examples of having a good career and being good right through the season. Without White, we wouldn't be here competing. Honestly, he's played his part. Get Koulibaly, says BX. I would have got Basima and brought Saliba back too instead of White. If you're talking to me, I think you muted yourself, Gary. Uh, Koulibaly will want to play in Europe. If we win our third derby on the bounce, bring on the North London derby. So the third derby is that's yes, a London derby. Okay, I'm with you, BX. Who do fans want at Arsenal? Who do fans want at Arsenal? That's a good question.
Sorry about that.
No
I had
problem.
to,
Talking to the boss.
yeah. Well, yeah. The boss calls you, answer the phone, right? I don't have time to get on anybody's bad side, especially the bosses. Yeah, nah.
Who do you want at Arsenal? I mean, not that you want to
I
fire
need improvements on any of
Arteta.
the players
Yeah.
that we bring in. Right. So people
Manager
always
wise.
go, well, he's not that good. Well, but is he better than what we have? I'm all about at least some progression and improvement on the squad. So if I tell you that I'm bringing in a player and you go, well, he's not one of the top players in the league. Well, is he better than what we have? And in most cases, I think anybody we bring in will be a better, even if they coming off the bench, even if they're a squad player, it's better than what we have now because we don't have much on our bench as it is, right? So anything we do to improve the squad, I think will be a positive. But we definitely need a striker that fits in whatever Arteta's mold is. I don't know what that is. I'm almost tempted to say we just need a decent striker, but it'd be nice to have some more wingers. Then like if Pepe isn't going to be the man, then we need a. I'd rather have a winger that puts Sack on the bench or puts Martinelli on the bench.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I don't think they need to play as many, especially if we're going to have European football and we're going to hopefully go deep in the
Yeah.
domestic cups. They don't need to play every day, and they need to be like I look. And I always bring this up all the time. A player like Jota, they come in, he comes in, and he could start on most teams in the league. All right, he could start on most teams on the league, and he comes off the bench for them. That's what we need at our level, right?
There,
So
there's the dream. BX.
yeah,
Steven said KSC firing Arteta would mean that they were wrong and the fans were right. I don't think that KSC are ready to concede that. Uh, I think if it gets to a situation where it becomes untenable, but it would have to be a pretty bad collapse. I think they've bought into Arteta's vision. I think when you're having an interview, if you're the candidate, he's obviously laid out exactly what he needs and how long it's going to take, and if there
I
were
don't think he did.
well, why do you how could you explain two eighth place finishes then?
Well, I don't think he came in thinking that. I don't believe. I would be surprised that the team thought they would be eighth 2 years in a row. Not any improvement in terms of the table positioning, and they would have to kind of change their mode of thinking because their initial thought was we can just go and get some seasoned veterans to help us out, and then the next thing it was, well, you know what, we need to get some young players and get the seasoned veterans out. There has to be. It actually has to
Mhm,
be
mhm.
for me, a plan where you bring in both because that's what we needed. We needed some senior veterans, some senior players coming in with experience, but we also needed to get younger because we can't afford some of the best players out there, so we're gonna have to develop them or we'll get them in just before they hit their peak. Um, and we haven't brought in young players that are like, right now seem to be on their way up, right? Because Martinelli was here. It's before before it was coming in. Anyways, I think he was on the radar.
I
And
think
we already
we
have Emil Rowe and Sack were already part of the academy, so it wasn't like we had to go out and find these players. These were ones already in house by the time Arteta was part of it. I don't think since then we've brought in young players at that level where you're like, all right, you see kind of glimpses of them, especially playing in their preferred positions because um, Sambi's been okay. I don't think he's there yet. Tavares, for the role that we want him to play, not really good at it at all. If that's defense, because that should be defense first, and then offensive going forward. So I kind of feel
yes.
like that's and then the senior leadership. We have senior leaders in terms of keeping the squad together, but they don't perform. I don't. For me, they don't perform. So we need both.
Mhm. Zaha would have been great for us,
Mm.
says BX Gunner, and another player, maybe Alan San Maximin. We're going to face him against Newcastle in a few weeks as well.
Mm.
Um, I think the other bit of news out was Pepe and the comments that Arteta had made about Pepe. I don't know if you caught up to this, but it's basically saying Pepe was the most expensive player. He's been brought in to do a job, and look at one of our academy players has come through and taken his position. But I think it was the quote stopped there, but he goes on to say if you look at what Pepe is doing every training, and in the dressing room, he's really supportive of Saka, and he's trying his best to be competitive to take his place on the field as well when needed. So there was a little bit of misreporting going on in terms of that. Um, People may be anticipating Newcastle. I think there's been some links with Newcastle and Pepe in the last 24 hours as well.
Yeah.
But we don't know what's going to happen. I don't feel that Arteta loves Pepe, and
Yeah, as you saw
Saka,
right there, just a flash report from Helen. I
Brighton.
just saw it on there. Brighton just took a 2-0 lead over at Wolves. So yeah, no Pepe. I think I always say that things should be easy, and the Pepe decision should be an easy one, and it should be a clear one. They don't want him. He has to keep trying to show that he's giving them what they want, and then when they say he is, then we don't see him. So obviously he's not doing enough because whenever they say he's doing well and he should be seeing more playing time, we see a glimpse of him and then he's gone again. So he's not the player that they want. And the 72 mil right now for me is just not even worth talking about because it doesn't matter how much you play for a play. If you're not going to play him, then what's the point?
Hmm.
I mean, you
Trossard
know,
has scored. Yeah, no, I definitely get you. And listen, I've been a fan of Pepe, but and I wish that he would have played. I think we all wish he would have played more games, if
yep,
not just to give Saka a break. Um,
yep.
he's played a lot of football, Bukayo Saka is.
Yeah,
Um,
and and we can't. I mean, I saw somebody quoting today on Twitter that they're looking forward to seeing. He could be a legend at 25. Hopefully, I want him to be a legend leaving the club at like 30. That's what I want. If he's 25, he's a legend. That might be mean his season was his career was done a couple years before that, right? Which is a couple years from now, and that's why I kind of feel like when somebody says we shouldn't bring in a winger because that's going to take away minutes from our players. No, we need to bring in players to solidify that
yeah.
part of the team. Like when we right now we don't even want to go to our bench, right? We don't want to go
We're
to our
lucky.
bench at all. So
Yeah.
and you can't build a squad. We keep talking about a squad that can compete in domestic and internet and European cups. We can't do that. So we need to have players either that can supplant them or can support the squad. So yeah, no, so
We're at a
we
critical.
could do with a good winger. We could do with we need depth everywhere. So there's not one spot right now besides I think goalkeeper. The way we're set up, where we can say we have somebody right behind them that could push them for starts.
We all say every transfer window. We all say this is the most important, at least the summer transfer windows, most important window in Arsenal's recent history. It goes on and on and on, and I really feel again this summer coming will be so important because what's happening is there a game?
No, you're just
Oh
saying we
my
just keep saying,
word!
yeah. You're just saying emotion. No, I mean we need to keep improving from like
Well, it
every
really is.
window can't be a lost cause, and I felt like we had a lost cause there with the way we used the January window. And
There is.
everybody's gonna tell me you don't get quality in the January window, and we're watching quality in the January window at other squads. So and we don't want to spend that money. Well, we have the money. We can spend it because we've seen it. We've spent the money. Um, we spent big money on players in the January window. So it's not
There is.
that we haven't done it before. So
There is a rumor going around. I think there's a Sky Sports interview with Arteta. I haven't seen it, but it alludes, or maybe I think Clive said something, or somebody said it live. This means that Arteta wanted some signings in January, but he clearly didn't get them. You know, so there you go. But listen, in terms of what you're saying, Gary, this summer is important because we want to target the right players with the right age profile, and that 28, 27, 28-year old that you're talking about as well. I agree with that. We need that kind of leadership in the team as well. We have now El Neni. Rob Holding, Granit Xhaka, Lacazette. Those are mainly the experienced leadership, and we need a little bit more, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, we definitely need it on the offensive end. All
Thanks
right,
for
Helen. Have a
joining,
good day.
Alan.
Yeah.
3 points in the bag for Liverpool, 2 points ahead of City, and now she's going to go watch the Leeds City game and hope that City drop points. The fact that Willian played all those games over Pepe showed how messed up the Pepe situation is. He never got the chance, and the wasted 72 million is on Arteta's head. I will lay that at Arteta's feet. You have a marquee player that the club bought, and you never worked with the player. You never tried to, maybe you tried, but you didn't try hard enough to integrate him into your team, to use that asset that you had. You bought the most expensive machine in the factory, and you never really used it, Gary. That's criminal.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, and he, like I said, we have catered for players all over in different parts of the this field, but not for some of our talented players. More for players that have deficiencies, right? We've kind of moved them around, put them in less dangerous spots, less risky spots, and but for our talented players, we haven't done that. And I think that's a shame because we miss out on we miss out on them. So
Watford, so there's one, two, three, four, five, 6 goals across 4 games.
yeah,
Um, in this
well, you know what this is what they would call the
slow.
dead period, I guess, in football, right? Because this is like I mean, if you look at what team there in that list are you going? They have some bearing on a top 10 spot in a
Mhm.
league, and
Yeah.
there barely is any in that list,
Wolves.
right?
Wolves are the highest at eighth,
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
ninth place Brighton.
yeah.
Um,
So I mean, you're more talking about players trying to survive, teams trying to survive in this league and trying to get another year in the Premier League.
I will
Then you're
say, Tom, looking from Mr. Tom's perspective as a Leeds fan, Watford beating Burnley is good news for him. He wants to keep Burnley away from Leeds a little bit, and if Leeds are going to play City, you definitely want to see Watford holding on against Burnley there. Um, to remain 3 points ahead of Burnley. Wolves look dead. Are they on? Again, we talked about them a little bit earlier. Are they kind of on the beaches? They're looking forward to their holidays in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's like I don't even. Well, I've had the game on here, and I don't remember watching and going, "Damn, they almost scored there." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like all right, they just had some bad luck. They weren't able to score because they made it, just hit the crossbar or something like that. I don't feel like I remember going, all right, they almost scored there. Like I've seen like Brighton almost score multiple times. Oh, we lost Ray there. Hopefully he'll be back. Um, I can't control what's going on, but yeah, it looks like the Wolves are done at least
All
for
right,
the
I'm back.
season. And
I just wanted to put my avatar on.
Pepe and Saliba, yeah, that's over almost 100 million pounds on two players that have played, haven't played enough for this squad. So I think for Pepe's time on the field, he's done pretty well, right? I mean, they don't play him much, but when he does play, he gives us something, right? Um,
Yeah.
we just don't do it enough.
Um, Steven said when you combine Pepe and Saliba, that's a wasted 99 million for a good player and a player that
Mm.
has never played a game for Arsenal. Played a friendly, I think one friendly. I think that was a token gesture from Arteta in that case. But yeah, I guess we'll stay the extra 10 minutes till the end of the games here, right?
We can do that. Yep,
Then
yep.
we'll wrap it up there. I will be right back in a second.
Okay. All right. So, like you said, so we got about 10, 15 minutes left in these games. Aston Villa is up 1-0. Brighton is up 2-0. What do we have here? There's another game I thought I was watching, but I don't see it here. Um, I think Southampton is still drawn 1-1, and what's the other? Oh, the Watford game. Watford is leading Burnley. I think is that. Yeah. So I was. What else is going on? So what do you
Southampton
guys? Go ahead.
Palace. Yeah, like you said, Gary. There's something maybe we'll do next weekend as well. Just um, I think our game next. Let's see what our game next week. The Arsenal game. But yeah, this you're talking about. This is a slot of games where there's not really big games. Tomorrow, of course, West Ham are playing Arsenal. Um, Tottenham are playing Leicester. Later today, we got City playing Leeds. Yeah, next weekend we're playing on Sunday as well. So yeah, we'll definitely do another Saturday slot here like this. Hopefully, maybe my hair is going to join in a little bit, but we're about to wrap up pretty soon anyway. Um, let me keep an eye on the latest scores. Brighton, they're a interesting team right now, Gary. Of course, they've beaten us a few weeks back, but they did beat Tottenham well, and Tottenham drawing to Brentford. So hopefully that continues tomorrow. That Tottenham drops some points against Leicester, but they've only picked up 1 point in the last two games, um, and all scores remain as you see right now. Honestly, based on Wenger playing certain players religiously and then players getting Emery sacked, it left Arteta with a mountain to climb. He's had to start from scratch and has created a strong base.
Oops, sorry, I got distracted there.
Yeah, no problem. Honestly, based on Wenger playing certain players religiously and then players getting Emery sacked, it left Arteta with a mountain to climb. He's had to start from scratch and has created a strong base.
Yeah.
I think he's had to sweep out a lot of the cliques. I believe a lot of the cliques in the dressing room and start to institute a culture.
Well, it's, I don't know. I mean, I think it's he. I guess they say put the hammer down. Had pretty strict rules and all that, but then he wasn't disciplined himself. So I kind of feel like
Mhm.
it kind of goes both ways. He didn't do what he needed to. Um, so
Major things along. Let's just talk about Arteta a little bit while we're talking about this. And the major things on Arteta's road, right? First, probably Guendouzi and Ozil were the first major issues that he had to deal with, right? Let's just talk about players and the things that he's done wrong, maybe with players and some of the fans' viewpoints. Would you agree with that, Guendouzi and Ozil?
I don't know if Oza was all him. I think many have said that it probably wasn't even Arteta that was the reason why that didn't work. Is more the team for monetary reasons that they were losing money in the marketplace, or perception and all that kind of stuff. So it
Controversial,
wasn't.
yeah.
So I think
This
that's
was so Ozil was a trademark player, right? Ozil was he had that following that was probably bigger than most players. Well, definitely bigger than most players at Arsenal, and maybe in some cases his following was more than Arsenal following. If that's right, insane. So he had a lot to say, and he had a lot of takes which were different to the club. So Guendouzi is the next one. Discipline situation. Uh,
yeah, and that's something Arteta hasn't figured out how to do because you say I mean it's the same way he kind of handled Pepe. They both have you have the different ways to coach them and get the best out of them, and in both cases, I think he failed. And for whatever I think that's what he's done. I mean, there are things, challenges that managers have to deal with, and you need to be able to get the best out of your employees or the players on your side, and he didn't do that. So I kind of feel like that's on him. the
Mhm.
Guendouzi, and yeah, maybe he needs to go. But the fact that they knew, at least everybody in the world believes the guy's got talent, and the fact that they were able to let him go and got nothing for it is really like, I understand. All right, he needs to be out of my club, but I don't understand. We're gonna lose money on this deal.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That part I don't get, because that, so now you bite off your nose, spite your face kind of thing. So yeah, you got him out, but now you're out monies that you don't can't teams can't just be throwing money out the window. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Seen
And
that with
as much as
Mavropanos. We've seen that with, and we're saying, that should not happen again. So looks like Brighton's about to
well,
score again. So
about another penalty.
no, this one I think is ball is out to uh Cucurella, and it's a
Well,
long shot
we
here.
stand.
Is that from Basuma? Yep, Basuma from like outside the circle. The goalkeeper,
Hey,
he's got to be so
Waka.
disappointed with himself.
Oh, the circle.
Outside the
It's,
circle.
it's like 40 yards,
Yeah, it's just
right?
not outside the box, but just outside the circle that
The
goes around the
semicircle.
box. Yeah, the little semicircle
Okay,
there.
that's about
Not
25
not the
meters
center
wide.
circle. Sorry,
Right. Okay.
but yeah. No,
So
it's
3-0 to Brighton.
yeah. The goalkeeper definitely should have been able to do something with that. I think Burnley game is tighter than it
Sure.
was before. I think
Good morning,
Watford.
Stan. So we're just having a sort of chill. We're watching a Premier League watch along, talking about Arsenal, having a little bit of
Yeah,
chat and chill, right?
yeah,
Big Skinner hated the Ozil signing. He needed to go. It's no coincidence that you cannot get fully patched Ozil kits. That you can get fully patched Ozil kits for 20 now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Guendouzi is the same immature person now, and he is making
No,
our
he's
touch
not the same. He's not the same.
is
You
not the same.
see,
Sorry.
you read that the way you were thinking. I always believe that you.
So I was seriously, that's what I wasn't being mischievous there.
No. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's because that's the way you think of him, right? He's still immature, which
I
he might be.
yeah. It's the fact I think the fact that Guendouzi, I don't think he's changed anyone's mind since he's left Arsenal.
Hasn't changed anybody's mind, but you can't just give players away, talented
Yeah,
players
I agree.
away.
I
You
was gonna
can't
say,
give players that are,
yeah.
considered worthy of being on one of the top teams in the world internationally,
Yeah.
and get nothing for them. That's just, or not get,
And
their value.
as much as we like to banter Tony a little bit, he tracks the highest point of valuation of a player. He's right. Guendouzi hit a certain level where we could have gotten some money for him. If that's the case, you get the money for him. Like I was a fan of Joe Willock, and we got maximum as much
Yeah,
money as we possibly could
yeah,
for Joe Willock at the time. Steven said Guendouzi is not the same immature person now, and he is making Arteta look like an amateur. Worth at least 25 million, sold him for 11. Combined with Pepe and Saliba, that 114 million wasted. So, not to excuse Arteta, right? I'm not an apologist for Arteta, but isn't it the club's remit to get the best money? Isn't that a different department in the club that goes in transfer markets and
your
selling the player?
manager and the director of football have to. And my understanding is Arteta has a say in the players coming and going, so that all has to work together. Like if there's a reason why you can't sell a player, and well, you know what, you don't play him, so he's got no value to you, and everybody knows that. So why are they going to pay you money for him if you don't? If they feel like, you don't want him anyways. So we keep talking about we're bringing him back for value,
See.
right?
BX says
Yeah,
what I'm saying. It's not on Arteta. It's on the
yeah,
board. I mean, if you prepare, it's a tough one. But the club as a whole, you say, have to do a better job.
yeah. I don't
Uh,
know about the board. I don't think the board has any say on how these players are going to get sold
it's
and
the
how they're perceived in the marketplace. The board, no. Director of football, like Edu, I
You're
would
right.
think that's where If you want to, that's where it's got to stop right there. I don't think it goes any higher than it do. I don't think you're looking at a board member going, well, you know what, you sold Guendouzi for like 14 million under market value. That's not the
Um,
board's. The board, like, make sure they have the right people there. And if you don't think Adu is the person, then that's on the board to get the right person to make that deal. So that's on Adu. If he can't do the job, then he needs to go.
right. So Steven said, I said, has anyone changed their mind in terms of if they like Guendouzi but didn't like him, or did like him and don't like him, or don't like him, does like him now? I think Steven said he's changed his mind every time we watch Guendouzi. I wished we had him over Granit Xhaka.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, the things that we want to get out of our midfield, he does them. He's still somewhat young in his football career.
there's a
So
couple of things there. One from Stan: Guendouzi doesn't tackle, score goals, or create assists. No idea what his function is.
mm,
Um, he does some of. I think he gets gassed up a little bit when he does some of those things. I don't think he's the complete package myself,
yeah,
but obviously I've decided it was best for Guendouzi to move on personally for me. So you're
yeah.
going to get that viewpoint from me, I suppose. Guendouzi would have polluted the likes of Saka, Smith Rowe, and such with such a toxic attitude.
Yeah,
Ron,
I mean, I don't know. I just
it's such muddy waters we're in right now. Hey,
yeah, man.
everybody, we're back in Ireland.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe or maybe not. Maybe the reason, or maybe it looked like that because he just wasn't wanted here, and it was never going to work.
Yeah.
So
Edu suffers for the same problem Arteta does. No experience. Yeah, you can't. I mean, these people collectively, Edu and Arteta, are learning on the job, and we've seen Arteta go back to that left back dynamic with Granit Xhaka recently, which is not good, obviously. If he drops the Kenny G, look, maybe if he drops
yeah.
the Kenny G,
I
look,
mean, I don't. I kind of still. I mean, so are we saying that the French team does not see any good qualities as a footballer in Guendouzi?
no,
Because
they do.
because that has been everybody. That's been the stance that if he's good enough to play for the
I
French team, he should be
there
good
is
enough to
there
play
is
for an Arsenal team.
There is a perception of the French team that they are they can be temperamental and problematic in tournaments, much the same way as the Dutch team had that.
What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, in South Africa, they sort of imploded. The French team self imploded in South Africa that World Cup. So more recently, they've been more stable. Obviously, world champions, 20, 2018 was it? Yeah.
Hmm.
So, but there is a sense that the French are a passionate people, and Guendouzi definitely explains that, or you know, is an example of that. Let's say the French team manages
Oh
psycho.
my God, he got beat again. Oh, it's a different game, but Crystal Palace just has taken a lead. Zaha from outside the box.
Okay, I'm looking
So
right in stoppage time. Crystal Palace have won that game, so Patrick Vieira doing a good job there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's
Right on
good
the
when he's good when
optimal
you
play.
don't. I mean
Zaha.
that when he was in Brazil, right? That's probably more of a self-contained environment. He's not going out looking for the best players in the world in Europe,
Yeah.
especially,
Yeah.
right? He probably doesn't have to go out that far. And if you're on the Brazilian national team, you're not really going out there trying to find the best players in the world, right? You just look in your country. So I kind of feel like I mean, there should be if he's really good in the South America region, then we should be getting more players from that region, and we're not even
Yeah.
doing that as much, right? We're not doing that.
Stephen
So
Stephen said in South Africa, the France management was as much to blame. I'm Irish, and when Roy Keane dragged Ireland all the way to a World Cup in South Korea, um, he complained about the facilities that the Irish FA had put together for the World Cup. Didn't accept it, and there was a big blow up. So I think
mm,
both, like we're saying with Edu and Arteta, all of that has to work together at the club
yeah,
and
and well
in the
and that's
national
why I've said from
selection.
day one. needed somebody with experience to do a job above the players, and they haven't done that. So growing pains and all of that to me is not that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. Arsenal shouldn't have to be once again a training ground for people in their careers. That's just not the way it should work. And and I don't believe anybody believes that. Nobody believes that. We are not going to put a goalkeeper in the box and let him just figure it out. Right? We're not going to do that. So why are we doing that with our manager? Why are we doing it with our director of football?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what we're doing, and we're saying it's okay. I don't believe so.
Okay, so while we've been talking passionately, Burnley have scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. Southampton have scored through Zaha. Aston Villa are 2-0 up against
Yep.
Norwich now. So we're
Yep.
going to wrap it up here. It's a good point to leave it. 2-0 for Aston Villa. And Brighton are leading 3-0, right?
Yep, 3-0. I think that game is over now. So
it was more of a chill than sort of a Premier League. We definitely were not keeping the scores updated. We were thankful for everybody in the comment section to do that for us and give us the heads up. But yeah, just looking at the standings real quick at the bottom, because as we said throughout this podcast, Gary, this is mid-table down. There's no big teams in this lot of games.
yeah, I mean, you start out with Liverpool, you end with City, right? Is it City who's
Bad
playing later?
news. Bad
Right.
news for Mr. Tom. Leeds have dropped down one spot. Burnley have joined them level on points, but goal difference being better now.
Yeah.
Actually, just the win has done it for them. Goal difference is significantly better than Leeds. So, Tony will say goal difference counts, and it does count when you're level on points. Brownie's here. Listen, we'll try and do this on the regular on a Saturday, at least for this month, and see how things go. Great Saturday morning show. Thanks, BX, for being with us. Thanks, Gary, for joining me.
Yep.
You still have to scout up and commerce for the future for the national team. Gary, I was just about to say, should never be a training ground for management.
Yeah, and you know what? Leeds could be solidly in 17 plays today, depending on how this game goes today.
Yeah.
I mean, right? It's a 14. It's a 1 goal difference between the two.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Everton, but
Mr.
they still have a
Tom,
5-point lead on Everton. So I mean,
Mr. Tom will be watching the Everton games from now on very, very closely. Leeds fans will be watching Everton nervously today. And today, Leeds fans are Chelsea fans. Actually, maybe Mr. Tom doesn't want to say that because I know there's some kind of a thing there between Leeds and Chelsea. He's educated that about us over it. Okay, so Gary, thanks for joining. We'll get out of here.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us.
Go watch the Leeds City game. Go finish working in the backyard, whatever you got to do. And enjoy tomorrow. I don't think you're going to be able to join us, but hopefully you'll be able to see some of the Arsenal game.
Definitely. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. If not, would find me on Monday.
Probably doing a pre-game show as well if that lines up. But understand you're busy as well. Maybe tomorrow. So
Yep.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the Leeds City game today. Hope everybody gets the result that they want. Be whoever you are. And we go tomorrow to West Ham, and we got to get 3 points. That's the name of the game tomorrow. Must win territory, Gary.
Definitely. Yeah. Another final coming up. Yeah. Another final coming up, so we got to get the win. So
five more to go. And come on, you Gunners. Let's get those 3 points. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.
See you.